In February of 1637, a tulip bulb sold at auction for more than a house on the Amsterdam canal. 1 week later, the entire Dutch economy collapsed. Nobody understood why. Let's go back to 1593. The tulip was not European. It grew wild on the steppes of Central Asia, in the mountains of what is now Kazakhstan and Afghanistan. The Ottomans had cultivated it for centuries. To them, the tulip was a symbol of paradise. In 1593, a Flemish botanist named Carolus Clusius brought tulip bulbs from the Ottoman court to the University of Leiden in the Netherlands. He was not trying to start a financial revolution. He was trying to grow flowers. But something about the tulip was different from everything Europeans had seen before. Most flowers in 16th century Europe were simple, predictable things. Roses, lilies, carnations. The tulip was something else. Its petals came in colours that seemed almost impossible. Deep red, pure white, vivid violet, and in rare specimens, the flower that seemed to be on fire. Streaks of two colours running through the same petal, flames of white breaking through crimson. No two were alike. The Dutch had never seen anything like it. By the 1630s, the Netherlands was the wealthiest nation on earth. Dutch merchants had built an empire on trade: spices, textiles, timber. The Dutch East India Company was the first publicly traded corporation in history. Amsterdam citizens were accustomed to financial innovation, and they turned that financial sophistication onto flowers. Tulips became status symbols. Wealthy merchants competed to own the rarest varieties. The most prized tulip in the world was called Semper Augustus. White petals with crimson flame streaks. In 1624, a single bulb sold for 1,000 guilders. The average Dutch worker earned 150 guilders a year. But here is what made the tulip different from any other luxury good. Nobody knew why some tulips had flames. What they did not know, could not have known, was that the flame effect was caused by a virus. A Mosaic virus spread by aphids infected the tulip and broke its colour, producing those extraordinary streaks. The most valuable tulips in the world were sick, and because the virus spread unpredictably, you could plant a perfectly ordinary bulb and pull a Semper Augustus from the ground. You could also pull nothing. This unpredictability was the mechanism. Tulip trading became gambling, and in the winter of 1636 and 1637, it became something no one had seen before. Traders began buying and selling tulip bulbs they did not own, for delivery at a future date, at prices they agreed today. Futures contracts, invented for flowers. At its peak, a single Semper Augustus bulb traded for 10,000 guilders, the price of a substantial house on the Amsterdam canal, with a garden and a carriage. The bulb remained in the ground. It had not bloomed. No one who bought it intended to plant it. A routine tulip auction was scheduled in Haarlem. It received no bids. No one knows exactly why. Perhaps one trader lost his nerve. Perhaps a rumour moved through the crowd. Perhaps someone noticed that there were more sellers than buyers, and the logic of the market reversed itself in a single afternoon. Within days, the news had spread to Amsterdam. Sellers could find no buyers at any price. The futures contracts, those agreements to deliver bulbs that didn't yet exist for prices no one could now justify, became worthless pieces of paper. Merchants who had borrowed against tulip holdings to buy more tulips found themselves ruined. Overnight. Now you know what I told you at the beginning. In February of 1637, a tulip bulb sold at auction for more than a house on the Amsterdam canal, and 1 week later it was worth nothing. The bulb had not changed. The flower had not bloomed. The soil it sat in was the same soil. The only thing that had changed was what people believed it was worth. Tulip Mania is often called history's first speculative bubble. That is probably not accurate. There were land bubbles and commodity bubbles before it. But it was the first bubble that left enough documentation for us to study it. The contracts, the auction records, the letters of ruined merchants. And what those documents describe is structurally identical to the South Sea bubble of 1720, the railway mania of the 1840s, the roaring 20s before 1929, the dot-com bubble of 2000, the housing market of 2008. In every case, a genuine innovation or scarce asset, a story that justifies rising prices, a financial instrument that allows people to bet on the future without owning the underlying thing. And then, a single moment when the belief collapses and the asset reveals what it was always worth. The tulip was not special. The tulip was a mirror. If you want to understand how this happened in 1637 and why it keeps happening, Anne Goldgar's book Tulip Mania is the definitive account. The real history is stranger than the legend most people know. The link is in the description. I really hope you enjoyed this look into the past. If you did, please hit the like button and leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on whether you think we're still repeating these same mistakes today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.